In Colombia, voting day concluded after several irregularities marked the legislative elections. After preliminary counts, the presidential candidates were defined: Petro, Gutierrez, and Fajardo. The Russian government announced a new round of online negotiations with Ukraine on Monday, March 14th. Chinese authorities implement new restrictive measures to curb the most severe COVID-19 wave since the beginning of the pandemic. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the Telesur Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Stay with us. We begin in Colombia. Voting stations closed for the legislative elections and the presidential primaries this Sunday, with the three main presidential candidates defined running for the top post on May 29th. The election day was marked by multiple citizens' reports and denunciations about different failures in the electoral census process and the disclosure of information about the voting station. Data reported that in at least 26% of the polling stations, the officials did not hand out the ordinary electoral cards, nor those of the special constituencies for peace. On the other hand, authorities of the Electoral Observation Mission lamented the death of two soldiers in the midst of actions of irregular groups in the department of Caqueta. In this Sunday's elections, the 295 congresspersons of both legislative chambers were elected, as well as the candidates of the three main political coalitions of the left, center, and right for the presidential elections of next May 29th: Gustavo Petro, Federico Gutierrez, and Sergio Fajardo. In Colombia also, the leader of the political movement Colombia Humana Unión Patriótica, Human Colombia Patriotic Union, Gustavo Petro, indicated that he would work to multiply among social and political forces without the need of sectarianism.
Those Colombians who no longer want anger, confrontation, the damage that has been done in our country, and that this government after 4 years has represented the pain for us in Colombia. This is a government that has delivered us to a Colombia with anger, with corruption, with fear because insecurity have never been at this level. That we are living in frugal Colombian territory, with a gigantic uncertainty, the inability to have jobs, an economy that has been fighted a very few and has not given an opportunity that our people deserve. Colombia is the one we are approaching from the perspective of building forward. We know that Colombia must change, and it will change.
The presidential candidate for Coalición Centro Esperanza, Center for Hope Coalition, Sergio Fajardo, said that he will be responsible for approaching all citizens to make a change in the country.
In each department, in each city, our goal is to multiply ourselves by 2. For that there is no need for sectarism. For that there is no need for politics based on revenge or retaliation, or to collect the past, or to step over one or the other. Here is about multiplying ourselves, to build our service as multitude.
For his part, the Defense Minister Diego Molano addressed the violent events that occurred during the voting day, leaving one military casualty.
Unfortunately, we have to report that 2 public order events have occurred, one in the municipality of La Macarena and the other in the municipality of San Vicente del Caguán, where explosive devices were detonated in the village of La Cristalina, in the municipality of La Macarena, leaving a soldier of our National Army unfortunately killed.
Molano also reported on the second incident with explosive and its consequences. Welcome back. In Mexico, subsidy to gasoline increased in an effort to contain possible price hikes given the current volatility of world oil markets. The Secretary of Treasury and Public Credit of Mexico, the entity in charge of conducting the nation's fiscal policy, announced in a press release that according to a communique published by the administration, the government has decided to take on the special tax on production and services, which means it will increase gasoline subsidies to avoid price hikes of the different fuel products demanded by consumers. The measure aims to ease the blow on the pockets of ordinary citizens to prevent a situation like the one in 2017, popularly referred to as the gasolinazo. Paraguayan health authorities warned the population to take safety measures for a big potential risk of measles and polio outbreaks after the detection of confirmed cases in border with Brazil. The highest authorities of the extended immunization program, Dr. Hector Castro, said the confirmation of several cases of this bacteria is alarming due to the high level of its contagion and consequences on minors. Castro urged the population to get vaccinated in the immunization campaign against measles promoted by the country's health institutions since the end of 2021. The member of the Commission Against Measles, Dr. Luis Moreno, confirmed that Paraguay will boost new massive immunization days due to the bacteria's impact in the country. And Pedro Castillo, president of Peru, filed an habeas corpus lawsuit on Sunday seeking to declare null the agreement of the Congress Subcommittee on Constitutional Accusations of that nation. This happens in the response to the acceptance of a constitutional complaint against the president for alleged treason to the homeland by the Indian nation's entity. The habeas corpus is promoted by the defense attorney of President Castillo, Eduardo Pachas, who claims a violation of the right to individual freedom due to process and effective procedural due to process in the seat of the parliament. The lawyer also argues that there has been a violation of the principle of legality and inapplicability of by analogy, as well as a violation of the presumption of innocence and freedom of conscience. We move to other topics. The fourth round of negotiations between Moscow and Kiev delegations to discuss the ongoing conflict on Ukrainian territory began this Monday via video conference. According to Kremlin officials, the talks will be aimed at summarizing the preliminary results of the peace talks so far held between Moscow and Kiev. In this regard, Russian officials stated that the talks have significant progress, while expressing their desire to finalize the signing of agreements. Since the beginning of the Russian military operation against Ukrainian actions in the Donbass, 3 rounds of talks have been held in Belarus, which have so far resulted in the creation of humanitarian corridors for civilians. On Sunday, the Ukrainian army bombed a civil hospital in the city of Volnovaya, located in the self-proclaimed People's Republic of Donetsk. The bombing killed at least 6 people. Eyewitnesses denounced that Ukrainian military used patients as human shields to shoot at Donetsk fighters. Most doctors, patients, and neighbors survived the bombing after hiding in the basement of the compound. According to medical staff, Ukrainian soldiers planted anti-personnel landmines to keep civilians from leaving the hospital. Moscow authorities have repeatedly denounced this type of actions by Ukrainian soldiers. The head of the Russian National Center for Defense Management, Colonel General Mikhail Mizintsev, described as critical the humanitarian situation in several Ukrainian cities due to the actions of nationalist groups that plant mines in populated neighborhoods and destroy facilities of essential public services.
As a result of these criminal and treacherous actions of the Ukrainian authorities, primarily in relation to their own people, the civilian population is forced to survive in inhuman conditions, without heat, electricity, water, food, and medicine.
In this sense, Mizintsev explained the worst situation is in the southeastern city of Mariupol, where Ukrainian nationalists are forcibly detaining thousands of people, including nearly 7,000 foreign residents from 16 different countries.
The most difficult humanitarian situation has developed in Mariupol. Hundreds of thousands of people, including foreigners, are forcibly held by nationalists who threaten in physical violence stop any attempts to leave the city.
Russia's Ministry of Emergency informed Sunday that it has delivered more than 330 tons of humanitarian aid to the people of Ukraine in the last 48 hours. The aid was sent to 5 Ukrainian regions, including Donbass, where the conflict situation is deemed to be the most difficult. The Ministry of Emergency stated that another 10,500 tons of humanitarian aid will be delivered in the coming days. The aid is one of the agreed decisions on the second and third rounds of talks between Russia and Ukraine, which also include the opening of humanitarian corridors for the safe exit of civilians and a ceasefire during the negotiations, the evacuations. Russia's Defense Ministry spokesman Igor Konashenkov said Sunday that Russian armed forces have disabled almost 3,700 military facilities in Ukraine since the beginning of the special military operation in that country. The Russian mayor added that 99 planes, 128 drones, 1,194 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 125 multiple rocket launchers, 443 field artillery pieces and mortars, and 991 special military vehicles had been destroyed. The spokesperson for the Ministry of Defense also said that during the day the Russian Airspace Forces Air Defense shot down one Mi-24 helicopter, and 3 drones and 79 Ukrainian military facilities had also been attacked.
All in all, 3,687 military infrastructure facilities of Ukraine were disabled due to the special military operation. 99 aircraft, 128 unmanned aerial vehicles, 1,194 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 128 multiple rocket launchers, 443 field artillery pieces and mortars, 991 units of special military vehicles have been destroyed.
The government of Serbia said it will remain military neutral in the face of the conflict in the Donbas region, and it ruled out that the country would join NATO. At an election campaign rally of the Serbian Progressive Party, President Aleksandar Vučić stressed that his country does not need to join NATO. Instead, it will remain military neutral and develop its army. He said that what needs to be done to protect the territorial integrity of Serbia and the Serbian people. The Serbia president said emphatically that his country only needs of its citizens to defend itself. And on Sunday, Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu said following a telephone conversation with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov that sanctions against Russia will not solve the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The minister also said that he had asked his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov for support in evacuating Turkish citizens from the city of Mariupol. The Turkish Foreign Minister also said that the Russian president is not reluctant to meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky on February 24th. The Russian president launched a special military operation not aimed against Ukrainian cities nor seeking to endanger the civilian population, but tried to disable Ukraine's war infrastructure. And after several denied applications, Julian Assange is allowed to marry his fiancée Stella Morris on March 23rd. Morris announced the wedding date and shared her joy on her Twitter account on a post dated Sunday. The ceremony will be, however, full of restrictions, as the permitted 2 guests and 2 witnesses will have to leave immediately after the event. Even though the procedure will be held during normal visiting hours and it is likely not to be allowed to include a photographer, Assange has been held in Belmarsh High Security Jail ever since as of the 5 extraditions to the United States, where he is wanted of an alleged conspiracy to obtain and disclose national defense information following WikiLeaks publication of hundreds of thousands of leaked documents relating to the Afghanistan and Iraq wars. We have more news coming up after this financial break, so stay with us. Welcome back again to From the South. China faces the most severe COVID-19 wave since the beginning of the pandemic, and government authorities ordered to take more comprehensive control measures to curb the outbreaks in several regions of the nation. The latest outbreak has considerably raised the number of new cases per day and has made the Asian nation alter in small ways its zero-COVID policy by allowing for the first time rapid antigen testing for public use. Chinese health authorities registered 1,437 new infections, most of them 1,337 of local transmission. in the last 24 hours, which means that the country has already recorded more than 1,000 infections per day for several days now. The worst situation is in the northeastern province of Jilin, but cases have been detected in at least 16 provinces and regions in China, including the 4 megacities of Beijing, Tianjin, Shanghai, and Chongqing.
Travelers from high or medium risk areas continue to be restricted from entering Beijing, and thorough investigations are conducted to identify people in Beijing who have been to those areas. Remote screening will be strengthened for those coming from other areas across the country who can only enter the capital with a negative result of COVID tests taken within 48 hours before arrival and a green health code. They must get another COVID-19 test within 72 hours after their arrival. Travelers
The death toll from a cyclone that struck Mozambique this week climbed to 12 on Sunday after devastating wind and rain lashed the southern African country. Cyclone Gombe has affected more than 30,000 people during 40 and destroyed more than 3,000 homes since making landfall on Friday. 8 shelters have opened in Nampula, Mozambique's most populous province, which suffered death and destruction when Tropical Storm Ana struck in January. Mozambique was devastated by Cyclone Idai in 2019, the most violent storm to ever hit the country. Gombe is now moving towards Malawi, according to Meteo France. Around 80 tropical storms or cyclones form above tropical waters around the world each year. The cyclone season in southern Africa lasts from November to April. On Sunday, Chad's ruling military council and representatives of rebel forces and opposition groups met for the formal opening of peace talks in Qatar. The meeting is part of the diplomatic efforts to halt decades of fighting and instability in that nation. The negotiations aim to pave the way for the head of the board, General Mohammad Idris Deby, to lead Chad towards new elections. Deby assumed control of the Transitional Council and dissolved parliament after his father and former president Idris Deby died of wounds sustained while fighting rebels who were trying to overthrow his government in the north of the capital. This high-level meeting is considered a crucial first step in the reconciliation process.
Has adopted a roadmap to be implemented over 18 months, and the main stages of implementation are as follows: an organization of an inclusive national dialogue, open to all, including armed groups, the adoption by referendum of a new constitution, the organization of presidential and legislative elections, transparent and credible to close the transition process, to rebuild the state on solid foundations.
The government of Iran claimed responsibility for the ballistic missile attack against Israeli facilities located in the city of Erbil, capital of the Kurdish Autonomous Region. The precision strike of 10 ballistic missiles hit 2 advanced training centers run by the Israeli intelligence agency Mossad. The attacks did not affect the U.S. consulate or the Harri U.S. military base close to the points of impact. Kurdish authorities confirmed that there were no casualties or injuries from the attack. For its part, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard of Iran issued a communique in which it claimed responsibility for the operation and confirmed that it was a precision attack against intelligence facilities of the Israeli regime in response to previous aggressions. The attack near the Iraqi city of Erbil would have caused damage to the facilities of Kurdistan 24 television channel. Through social media, the TV channel distributed images of damage to their building, but they say no one was injured. Through a communique also, the management of Kurdistan 24 said that the attack interrupted their broadcast for a few minutes. And Vahan Khachaturian was sworn in as Armenia's new president on Sunday after his predecessor Armen Sarkisyan abruptly stepped down earlier this year. A seasoned politician and former mayor of the capital city of Yerevan, Khachaturian stepped into the largely ceremonial role after being nominated by the ruling Civil Contract Party. Sarkisyan announced his intention to resign in January of this year, arguing that the role of presidency was too constitutionally weak, constraining him from enacting his political vision. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find this and more stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.